Never ever forget. Chris Hipkins, same old, same leopard, same spots. If there was ever a time you need to remember the past, then this is it. Politicians rely on the public having short memories, namely only about 6 months. This is one occasion you must look back over the past 5 to 6 years and never, ever forget. You must never forget the damage this destructive, divisive, woke New Zealand Labour Party government did to Kiwis, and that they got paid so well for betraying you and your families. The first priority of any political party is to get elected, and their second priority is to get re-elected. Their last priority is to care about you and your families. Get this failing, destructive Labour Party well below the 5% MMP threshold at the general election. You owe this to yourself, your families and your friends, and to the many people who passed away in uncaring, unkind silence.
Lest we forget, case 2. When the previous leader, sorry, I don't even want to mention her name anymore, was in power, she often reminded me of Elizabeth Holmes, the CEO of Theranos, a now defunct biotechnology corporation. Holmes duped thousands of investors in a massive scam and was recently sentenced to 11 years in prison. Our previous leader, the New Zealand Queen of Disinformation, also duped thousands, if not millions, of hard-working Kiwi citizens. But when she saw the game was over, when she realised the ship had hit rocks and was sinking, she abandoned ship and did a runner. She resigned. A classic case of when the going gets tough, the so-called tough get going. Nothing left in the tank, not enough energy in the battery, rubbish. She knew the ship was sinking and did a runner. The New Zealand Queen of Disinformation reminds me of Francesco Schettino, the former captain of the cruise ship Costa Concordia, which struck an underwater rock and capsized, causing the deaths of 32 passengers and crew. When Francesco Schettino realised the mess he had created, he also tried to jump ship and do a runner. For his act of cowardice, causing a shipwreck and manslaughter, Francesco Schettino was sentenced to 16 years in prison. The only difference between the Queen of Disinformation, Elizabeth Holmes, and Francesco Schettino is that the New Zealand tyrant gets away with her actions scot-free. But even worse still, further down the road in time, she'll probably be rewarded handsomely for her efforts as leader of the most useless Labour Party government in living memory. So many people have had their lives shattered under her watch. Many have even lost their lives. But the New Zealand Queen of Disinformation is allowed to walk free. But to add gross insult to gross injury, the system not only allows the New Zealand tyrant to simply walk away, she's allowed to hand over her sinking ship to the crew, all of whom helped her run aground in the first place. What a nightmare, what a travesty of justice. The crew can simply pick up the pieces and carry on destroying people's lives as if they are all suddenly qualified to run a country. What is this sinking ship, this nightmare of a Labour Party government given to Kiwis in exchange for their high salaries, expenses and many other financial perks? Let me know if you can think of anything, please, in the comments section down below. I'm sorry, I simply cannot think of anything positive this destructive, divisive Labour Party government has managed to achieve over the past 5 years or so. Nothing. Ask yourself, is this a government based on merit or diversification? Going by their totally appalling performance to date, you couldn't be faulted at all for thinking there were no merit skills between them. They were all simply a diversified bunch of buffoons. But wait, there's more. Our previous leader, the tyrant dictator of New Zealand, stated many times that her cabinet was picked on merit, not diversification. That was solely a coincidence. Well, you could strike me down with a feather. Silly me for thinking otherwise. But then, how could this be true? When the New Zealand Queen of Disinformation travelled the world, self-praising and self-bragging about how she was a courageous, empathetic, caring leader full of kindness, she often talked about her amazing cabinet to overseas audiences, but not about their merit or achievements, only about how diversified her ministers and MPs were. She bragged over and over again about the mix of her cabinet diversity that she was so proud of, and she got many a standing ovation for such far-left progress. The New Zealand tyrant dictator was so very proud of how many Maori, Pacifica and LGBTQ MPs she had surrounded herself with. She bragged about her openly gay Deputy Prime Minister and many other rainbow ministers, but never, not even once, did she ever mention how skilled they all were and how well they had all performed as ministers on the basis of their merit. She only ever bragged about their diversity. When it comes to the New Zealand general election on 14 October 2023, or earlier if the currently failing Labour Party government give up and call a much anticipated snap election, ask yourself this simple question before voting. Do you want a non-racist government based on merit or diversity? After that, voting is fairly straightforward. Thank you, Whangarei Tim.
Never ever forget. Chris Hipkins, same old, same leopard, same spots. If there was ever a time you need to remember the past, then this is it. Politicians rely on the public having short memories, namely only about 6 months. This is one occasion you must look back over the past 5 to 6 years and never, ever forget. You must never forget the damage this destructive, divisive, woke New Zealand Labour Party government did to Kiwis, and that they got paid so well for betraying you and your families. The first priority of any political party is to get elected, and their second priority is to get re-elected. Their last priority is to care about you and your families. Get this failing, destructive Labour Party well below the 5% MMP threshold at the general election. You owe this to yourself, your families and your friends, and to the many people who passed away in uncaring, unkind silence.